guys, welcome to Rockport Reds. This is Evan. I hope everyone's having a great St. Patrick's Day and a safe one. I just wanted, since I'm not on the water this weekend, I wanted to go over Google Earth and how it applies to your fishing and your preparation. Especially, like I said, this is a limited time type fisherman like myself, so you gotta prepare as much as you can to make sure you have that success when you're on the water. So basically, I just want to start with Google Earth. There's two different versions. There's one you can get on your phone that's a basic Google Earth, and then there's a Google Earth Pro, which is for desktop. They may have an app, I'm not sure. But the Google Earth Pro, the benefit of it is that it has a lot more features, a lot more zooming in, zooming out type stuff, a lot more than you can do with just say your phone. Not to say that the one on your phone's bad, but the primary benefit to it is they have a history button in there. And a lot of times before Google will publish like new satellite images to their standard app, they put them on Google Pro as kind of a test platform until they can patch the different layers in around it. So sometimes you'll have pictures from 2017 or 2016, and then out of nowhere you'll have a 2019 picture. It's kind of a thing you have to look for, but there's a way you can view more current pictures on Google Earth, than what you would get with the standard, which I've found to be a huge benefit, especially post-Harvey, where the bottoms are very different. Especially no one wants to go running their boat onto an oyster reef that somehow wasn't there pre-Harvey, or it's a good way to protect your equipment, protect your investments. So what I'm going to do today is basically we're gonna go through how I would prepare. So we're going to pick an area of fishing, which for today I picked San Jose Island. I start really broad, so that's a huge area. You can spend an entire month and not make it all the way through that shoreline if you fish it the right way. We're going to go through kind of how to read the satellite images once you get an area that you like. Really shrink it down, because redfish are not just everywhere. Fish just, they school up in these little biomasses, and one little area, if you fish it the right way, you will find them. I've never seen a back lake or a creek or anything that just does not hold fish. You just got to find them. You got to fish it the right way. But anyway, so we're going to start with San Jose Island, and we're just going to pick a spot, and we'll zoom in on that, and I'll show you how to read the bottom, the channels, the depth changes, where the oyster is, those kinds of things that maybe you wouldn't be able to pick up from Google Pro. And I've had to learn the hard way about seeing oyster on Google Maps in real life. It is not fun to learn about oyster when you're on the water. So we're going to start with the Google Earth Pro. I'll put a link to it in the video. But once you get your Google Earth Pro, you're going to put in, let's say, Rockport, Texas, like I did here, and it gets you in the general vicinity. And we're going to look at San Jose Island here. If you'll notice at the top, there's a clock-looking thing with an arrow wrapping around it. That little icon. You click that. That's your history button. You can back those images up to the 60s, or you can go all the way to, I think the newest one's just post-Harvey, like maybe a month or something past Harvey. And hopefully they'll update that soon, because a lot's changed since then. But anyway, so once you get your modern, make sure you're on the most recent image that Google has available. We're going to go ahead and look at the overall of San Jose Island. Okay, so this time of year, when it's still kind of chilly in the mornings, and it's got to warm up, and shoot, this winter it just has not been warming up. But you want to look for redfish in the shallow water, soft bottoms, mud, oyster mix, that kind of stuff. They want to as it warms up throughout the day, they're going to move shallower because they don't want to be cold, just like we don't want to be cold. So you want to kind of check these little guts, fish from the entrance of the gut in the morning from that deep water access, and kind of work your way back into that lake as the day goes on, as those redfish start to move onto those flats to get warm. Basically, so we're going to look at the guts. We're going to pick a gut here in San Jose. So we'll say this one right here. Zoom in on it, and then what we're going to do is look at this gut here, and you can see that there is a bin there, you know, and redfish are lazy. They're ambush predators. So they're going to hang out in slack tide. They're going to wait for bait fish to go by them and then attack. So any bends in these little back lakes or these little channels that are running through there, they're usually going to be hanging out around that bend somewhere, more so to the inside where the current kind of goes around them and brings the bait fish right by them. Redfish do not chase anything. Like if you ever watch any of like tail chaser stuff or anything, those redfish, literally he hits them in the head with his lures before they'll, you know, actually strike. They're not aggressive in the sense that they'll really chase after anything. So you pretty much got to find that biomass in those bins and whatnot. And once you find that biomass of reds, then you can start, you know, picking them off out of there. Another thing, after you look for your bins and possible fishing spots, you want to look at the water itself, and what may look like channels typically is not channels. And I found that out the hard way. I ripped my hand open a month ago fishing an area I'd never fished before and had no idea that it was an oyster bed I was about to walk into from soft mud, which it's on Google Earth, but I just assumed it was grass or something like that. And I tripped, went hand first into it, and just mauled my hand up, and I'll show a picture of that. But anyway, so what you want to look for bottom, you can obviously see the current, and just use common sense. If you see that long dark line kind of waving through those back lakes, that's typically your channel. And then you can kind of see the silt build up where it gets shallower, where the current's pushing the sand off to the side around the bends and those kinds of things. But what you really want to be aware of is this kind of spotted, you could almost say it looks like grass or a deeper channel. And what that actually is oyster reef. It's little pockets of oyster. And if you see a dark line kind of in there or something like that, that's not a channel. If it doesn't make sense with how the water's flowing and there's a dark line under there, that's probably oyster reef. So before you go wading back there, just be aware that that's probably something you'll be walking into, you know, and be prepared with that, whether that be having the right boots on, you know, maybe some gloves if you slip or trip on it. I wish I would have had gloves on because, yeah, it was not good. But anyway, you're pretty much going to want to look at the bottom. And oyster reef, typically on Google Earth, you know, the picture quality is so good that it looks almost like pixelated water. And that's not pixels. That's actually the little pods. You know, they're basketball-sized little pods of oyster, which is really hard to navigate if you're wading. And you definitely don't want to go blowing in and out on your boat, say in a low tide, and, you know, oyster rash your boat. So just be aware of that when you're interpreting these maps. If you see that kind of stuff, you know, those little pixelated looking dark areas and areas that don't make sense to have a channel, that's probably oyster. So, you know, just use some common sense and definitely do not put all your faith in Google Earth. Like a lot of it is just getting out of that boat and knowing the bottom. You know, there's so much more about an area you'll learn wading it and walking through it than you ever will sitting on that boat. So guys, with all that being said, I hope you kind of gathered what I would do personally, you know, prepping to go out on the water. I think what we're going to do is that spot was totally random and it actually looks pretty good. So we're going to fish that next weekend. Just, you know, I got to check the weather, that kind of stuff, make sure I can get my boat across that bay or across Aransas Bay when it's windy, if it's windy, or, you know, we are in March, so it is going to be windy. But game plan is next Saturday I'll be heading out there and we'll get some on the water footage of what exactly is out there and see if, by looking at that Google Maps images and kind of what looks like should be holding fish, is actually holding fish. So, you know, I hope y'all stay tuned and subscribe, and we'll go from there, and hopefully we'll find some fish Saturday. I'll be updating probably Thursday. I like to wait about 48 hours before I totally set in on a spot, just because weather reports really don't mean anything until 48 hours out. So once again, y'all hit that subscribe button and stay tuned, and hopefully we'll find some big old fat reds. All right, take care.